He was just an ordinary man collecting trash on the streets, until he started piecing together shredded classified documents from the waste. His 20 years of MIT experience told him one thing. This wasn't just random garbage. This was an international conspiracy, and now, he was the only witness. But before we dive into this incredible story, if you're new here, welcome to The Last Witness. We share the most amazing, untold stories of ordinary people with extraordinary secrets. Stories where someone becomes the final witness to incredible events. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our latest stories. And if you enjoy this story, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps us continue bringing you these incredible tales. Now, let's get back to Marcus's story. Marcus Thompson pushed his cart down Fifth Avenue at exactly 6:15 a.m., just as he had every morning for the past 10 years. The wheels squeaked rhythmically against the concrete, a sound that had become as familiar to him as his own heartbeat. To the early commuters hurrying past with their coffee cups and briefcases, he was invisible, just another city worker in a fluorescent vest, cleaning up after their comfortable lives. But Marcus Thompson hadn't always been invisible. 10 years ago, Dr. Marcus Thompson had been one of the most respected nuclear physicists at MIT. His research into uranium enrichment processes had been groundbreaking, earning him recognition from universities around the world. He'd been days away from publishing findings that could have revolutionized clean energy production. Then came the night that changed everything. It was March 15, 2014. Marcus had been working late in his lab, preparing his final calculations for publication. The research represented 5 years of intensive work, a new method for controlling nuclear reactions that could make fusion energy not just possible, but practical and safe. He'd stepped out for coffee at 11:30 p.m., leaving his computer unlocked and his files accessible. When he returned 20 minutes later, everything was gone. His computer had been wiped clean. His backup drives were missing. Even his handwritten notes had vanished from his office. Within hours, accusations began flying. The university claimed that Marcus had been selling research secrets to foreign governments. Federal agents arrived with search warrants. His bank accounts were frozen. His security clearance was revoked. The evidence against him was overwhelming and completely fabricated. Phone records showing calls to Chinese contacts he'd never made. Bank deposits he'd never received. Email communications discussing the sale of classified information. Emails that had somehow been sent from his own account while he was giving lectures to packed auditoriums. Marcus fought the charges for 2 years, spending his life savings on lawyers who ultimately advised him to accept a plea deal. The alternative was 20 years in federal prison for treason and espionage. He plea bargained down to charges of mishandling classified materials and received 5 years probation with permanent exclusion from any government or academic research positions. By the time his legal battles were over, Marcus had lost everything. His house, his career, his reputation, his marriage. His wife Lisa couldn't handle the scandal and the financial pressure. She'd filed for divorce and moved across the country with their 2 children. At 52, Dr. Marcus Thompson found himself unemployable and unemployed. No university would hire him. No research company would even return his calls. The scientific community had turned its back on him completely. That's when he found work with the New York City Department of Sanitation. It wasn't exactly what he'd planned for his life, but it was honest work. And after years of accusations and legal battles, honest work felt like a luxury. He started as a trash collector, working the early morning shift in Manhattan's financial district. The job was physically demanding but mentally simple. Walk the route, empty the bins, load the truck, repeat. It was mindless work that allowed Marcus to think about other things, or better yet, to not think at all. But old habits die hard, and Marcus had spent too many years as a scientist to completely shut off his analytical mind. After a few months on the job, he began noticing patterns in the waste he collected. The financial district generated a very specific type of trash. Lots of paper, reports, memos, printouts of emails and financial documents. Most of it went through shredders first, but shredding wasn't foolproof. Many offices used cheap strip-cut shredders that left documents in long, thin pieces. With patience and skill, those pieces could be reassembled. Marcus started small, mostly out of boredom. He'd take home interesting-looking document fragments and spend his evenings trying to piece them back together like jigsaw puzzles. It was surprisingly relaxing work, and it exercised the same analytical skills he'd used in his research career. Most of what he reconstructed was mundane: quarterly reports, meeting agendas, employee memos. But occasionally, he'd find something more interesting. Internal communications discussing merger plans before they were announced publicly. Financial projections that didn't match what companies were telling their shareholders. Nothing illegal, necessarily, but the kind of information that gave him insights into how the business world really operated. Marcus told himself he was just satisfying his curiosity. He never acted on the information he discovered, never tried to profit from it. It was simply intellectual exercise, a way to keep his mind sharp during a period when he felt like his intelligence was being wasted. That changed on a Tuesday morning in October 2023. Marcus was working his usual route along Wall Street when he noticed something unusual in the trash outside the Meridian Financial Building. Mixed in with the normal office waste were fragments of documents that had been through a cross-cut shredder, the expensive kind that cut paper into tiny confetti-like pieces. Cross-cut shredding was much more secure than strip cutting, but it wasn't impossible to defeat. It just required more time, more patience, and a systematic approach. Marcus had actually written a paper on information security during his academic career, so he understood the theoretical vulnerabilities in document destruction protocols. He collected the shredded fragments and took them home to his small apartment in Queens. Spreading them out on his kitchen table, he began the painstaking process of reconstruction. The first complete sentence he managed to piece together made his blood run cold. Project Yellowcake operational parameters exceed safety thresholds by 340%. Yellowcake. Marcus knew that term intimately. It was a form of uranium concentrate used in nuclear fuel production. He'd worked with Yellowcake extensively during his MIT research. But what was Meridian Financial doing with Yellowcake? They were an investment firm, not a nuclear energy company. Marcus worked through the night, driven by a growing sense of urgency. As more fragments came together, a disturbing picture began to emerge. The documents described a complex financial scheme involving the illegal transport and sale of uranium concentrate to buyers in countries that weren't supposed to have access to nuclear materials. The operation was massive in scope, involving shell companies in 12 different countries, corrupt officials in 3 government agencies, and transportation networks that moved materials through ports in South America and Eastern Europe. But the most shocking revelation was the client list. The Yellowcake wasn't being sold to established nuclear powers or legitimate energy companies. It was going to non-state actors, groups with no legitimate use for nuclear materials. Marcus's hands were shaking as he pieced together the final fragments. This wasn't just financial fraud. This was nuclear proliferation on a scale that could destabilize entire regions of the world. And somehow, documents describing this operation had ended up in the trash outside a Wall Street investment firm. Marcus spent the next week collecting every scrap of paper from the Meridian Financial Building. His systematic approach yielded more fragments, and gradually, he was able to reconstruct additional documents that filled in crucial details about the operation. The scheme had been running for over 3 years. Millions of pounds of Yellowcake had already been diverted from legitimate mining operations in Africa and South America. The profits were enormous. The documents showed transactions totaling over $2 billion. But the most disturbing discovery was the ultimate destination of some of the uranium. According to the reconstructed shipping manifests, significant quantities had been delivered to groups that Marcus recognized from international terrorism watch lists. This wasn't just smuggling. This was providing the raw materials for nuclear weapons to organizations that would use them against civilian populations. Marcus realized he was holding evidence of the most serious nuclear security breach in decades. The information he'd pieced together from trash could prevent catastrophic attacks and save thousands of lives. But who could he tell? Who would believe him? His credibility had been destroyed by the false accusations 10 years ago. If he walked into an FBI office claiming to have discovered a nuclear smuggling operation by piecing together shredded documents from the trash, They'd likely assume he was either delusional or trying to perpetrate some kind of hoax. Marcus decided he needed more evidence. He began expanding his collection efforts, focusing not just on the Meridian Financial Building, but on other firms in the financial district that might be connected to the operation. His new approach yielded results quickly. Within 2 weeks, he'd found document fragments from 3 other companies that appeared to be part of the same network. The scope of the operation was even larger than he'd initially realized. But Marcus also realized that he was taking enormous risks. If the people running this operation discovered that someone was reconstructing their classified documents, they would certainly take steps to protect themselves. And those steps would likely involve eliminating the threat. The breakthrough came when Marcus successfully reconstructed a document that contained a list of upcoming shipments. According to the schedule, a major delivery was planned for November 15th, just 2 weeks away. The shipment manifest indicated that this delivery would provide enough uranium concentrate to produce several nuclear devices. Marcus couldn't wait any longer for perfect evidence or worry about his credibility problems. Lives were at stake. He decided to contact Sarah Chen, an investigative journalist who had covered nuclear security issues for the Washington Post. Sarah had a reputation for taking complex stories seriously and had the resources to verify information before publishing. Marcus called Sarah's office and explained that he had evidence of a major nuclear security breach. Sarah was skeptical at first. She received dozens of calls every month from people claiming to have uncovered massive conspiracies. But when Marcus began describing specific technical details about uranium processing and transportation, Sarah realized she was talking to someone with genuine expertise. She agreed to meet with him. They met at a coffee shop in Brooklyn, far from the financial district where Marcus worked. Marcus brought with him photographs of the reconstructed documents and detailed notes about the companies involved in the operation. Sarah spent 3 hours reviewing Marcus's evidence. Her initial skepticism gradually gave way to alarm as she realized the implications of what she was seeing. "If this is real," Sarah said finally, "this is the biggest story of my career. But I need to verify these claims independently before I can publish anything." "The November 15th shipment," Marcus said urgently. "According to the documents, it's going to a port facility in Baltimore. If you can get authorities to inspect that shipment." Sarah nodded. "I have contacts at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. If I present this evidence properly, they'll have to investigate." Over the next week, Sarah worked to verify Marcus's claims. She traced the shell companies mentioned in the documents and found connections to known smuggling operations. She contacted nuclear security experts who confirmed that the technical details in the reconstructed papers were consistent with actual uranium processing methods. Most importantly, she convinced the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to quietly monitor the Baltimore port facility on November 15th. The raid was spectacular and terrifying in equal measure. Federal agents intercepted a cargo container that contained over 500 pounds of yellowcake uranium, along with detailed plans for its eventual use in improvised nuclear devices. The arrests that followed dismantled one of the largest nuclear smuggling operations in history. 12 individuals were charged with violations of the Atomic Energy Act and international terrorism statutes. 3 foreign government officials were expelled from the United States. Financial assets totaling over $1.8 billion were seized and frozen. But the most satisfying arrest, from Marcus's perspective, was that of Dr. James Wellington, the former MIT colleague who had orchestrated the frame-up that had destroyed Marcus's career 10 years earlier. Wellington had been the inside man in the smuggling operation, using his academic credentials and security clearance to provide technical expertise about uranium processing. When Marcus's legitimate research had threatened to make uranium enrichment too easy to monitor and control, Wellington had arranged for Marcus to be discredited and removed from the field. The evidence recovered during the nuclear smuggling investigation included detailed records of how Wellington had fabricated evidence against Marcus, planted false information in his computer systems, and coordinated with Chinese contacts to create the appearance of espionage. Marcus's name was officially cleared, and the federal government issued a formal apology for the wrongful prosecution that had destroyed his life. MIT offered to reinstate his position and provide compensation for the years of lost salary and reputation damage. But Marcus declined the university's offer. "I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago," he told the MIT president during their meeting. "And I'm not sure I want to go back to being that person." Instead, Marcus accepted a position as a consultant with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, using his unique expertise to help identify and prevent future nuclear security breaches. His experience with document reconstruction and pattern analysis made him particularly valuable for investigating suspicious activities by companies involved in nuclear materials handling. Sarah Chen's story about the nuclear smuggling operation won a Pulitzer Prize for investigative reporting. In her acceptance speech, she made sure to credit the anonymous source whose dedication to truth made this investigation possible. Marcus continued working for the city sanitation department, but now he worked different shifts that allowed him to pursue his consulting work with the NRC. His colleagues in the sanitation department never learned about his role in preventing nuclear terrorism, and Marcus preferred it that way. He'd learned that there was dignity in all honest work, whether it involved advanced nuclear physics or emptying trash cans. The important thing wasn't the prestige of the job. It was using whatever skills you had to make the world a little bit safer. On quiet mornings, as Marcus pushed his cart through the empty streets of Manhattan, he sometimes thought about the chain of events that had led him from the heights of academic success to the depths of disgrace, and finally to a kind of redemption he never could have imagined. His career had been destroyed by people who put profits ahead of human safety. But that same destruction had put him in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time, to stop those same people from potentially killing thousands of innocent people. Sometimes the universe had a strange sense of justice. Marcus smiled as he emptied another trash can, wondering what secrets might be hidden in today's collection. In his experience, people threw away the most interesting things when they thought no one was watching. But someone was always watching. And sometimes, that someone knew how to piece together the fragments of truth that others tried to destroy. The last witness to discarded secrets had become the first line of defense against those who would use those secrets to harm others. It wasn't the career Marcus had planned, but it was the one the world needed him to have, and that, he'd learned, was more than enough. Thank you for listening to this incredible story here on The Last Witness. If you enjoyed Marcus's journey from disgrace to redemption and want to hear more amazing tales of ordinary people who become the final witnesses to extraordinary events, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you these untold stories that deserve to be heard. What did you think about Marcus's unique method of uncovering this conspiracy? Do you believe people can find redemption even after losing everything? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing your thoughts on these stories. And remember, sometimes the most important truths are found in the places where others see only garbage. Until next time, keep listening and keep witnessing the truth.